If you're considering moving to Cape Coral, Florida, and you want to learn more about the pros and cons about what it's like to live here, including several you probably haven't heard of before, stick around because we're getting to all that and more right now. Hey everyone, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Marc Ammons. I'm a real estate agent down here in Southwest Florida. And on this channel, I talk all about what it's like to live, work, eat, sleep, and play right here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. If that sounds like something that you're into, go ahead and click subscribe down below so you don't miss any new videos when they get released. And with that out of the way, let's get into today's video. All right, so in today's video, we're talking all about pros and cons of living in Cape Coral, Florida. And if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen plenty of other pros and cons videos about living in Florida in general. You likely already know about our amazing weather, all the attractions, amusement parks, activities, things to do, our booming economy, the job market, overall cost of living and affordability. All those things are still true for Cape Coral, but in this video, I want to dive into my personal experience living in Cape Coral. This is where I call home, and I wanted to go through a list of the things that I like, things I don't like, some things that surprised me. Hopefully it'll be helpful to you if you're planning a move to Cape Coral. So stick around, let's dive into the list. All right, so kicking off with pro number one, and this was a huge factor for me and my family when we decided to call Cape Coral home. You've heard this 100 times in real estate, and it's absolutely true. Location, location, location. What I personally love about where Cape Coral is located is that, first of all, it's in the state of Florida, which right off the bat kind of puts it at the top of the list. But second, it's located in Southwest Florida. And Southwest Florida is really the area south of Tampa. So Sarasota and Bradenton down into Naples and Marco Island. And Cape Coral is centrally located within Southwest Florida. So we're about an hour and a half south of Sarasota and about an hour north of Naples. So because of where we're located in the state, not only do you have access to all the great things that the Cape Coral Fort Myers Metro has to offer, but you're a really short drive to so many of the other attractions that people come to Florida to see. So whether you're wanting to go to Disney, Clearwater Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, even Key West. We have the Key West Express, which is a jet-powered catamaran that will get you from Fort Myers down to Key West in about 3.5 hours. Saves you over 2 hours of driving. You can head down, stay a couple days, head right back. So there's a lot to offer as a result of where we're located within the state. So one of the big benefits that I've found of living in Southwest Florida versus other areas within Florida is the weather that we get to have all 12 months out of the year. So most people know that Florida stays warmer than a lot of the other states throughout all 12 months. But a lot of people don't realize just how much difference there is between the temperatures that we get down here in South Florida and the temperatures that they may get up north in Florida in Tallahassee, in Jacksonville, in Pensacola, and the Panhandle. So in the wintertime, January, which is our coldest month, we'll typically stay about 10 degrees warmer down here in Southwest Florida than a lot of the people in northern Florida. And 10 degrees may not seem like a huge difference, but when you're wanting to go to the beach and you're wanting to jump in the pool, the difference between it being 66 and 76 can make a pretty big difference on how much you're able to enjoy the weather. So being a little bit farther south makes a big difference in that. A lot of people don't realize we're actually a lot closer to the capital of Cuba in Havana than we are to the capital of our own state in Tallahassee by a pretty good margin. So we stay warmer down here. I think that's a big benefit, especially if you like to enjoy the outdoors 12 months out of the year. This is a great spot to do it. Okay, so lastly on location, and this was one of the huge factors for us when we decided to move to Cape Coral, was all of the islands that you have surrounding Cape Coral that you get to access that you just don't really have many other places. Cape Coral is extremely unique with where it's located. We're a peninsula, so we're surrounded by water on 3 sides, but we also have a lot of outlying barrier islands that are situated to the west of us. And those are some of the most beautiful, pristine islands that you'll have. We have Sanibel Island, which is absolutely gorgeous. We have Captiva, North Captiva, which is accessible by boat only. We have Cayo Costa State Park, also accessible by boat only. We have Pine Island, and so many others that you get to enjoy. A lot of these islands that we have are accessible by boat only, so if you're moving to Cape Coral and you're thinking about getting into boating, there's a lot of opportunities to be able to get on your boat and head to one of these islands and really have the whole beach to yourself. One of the islands that we really enjoy going to is Cayo Costa State Park. It's a boat accessible only island, but there are some ferries that you can take from Cape Coral, from Punta Gorda, from Pine Island, and they'll take you over to Cayo Costa for a day trip. So if you are gonna get into boating and you're looking for a place that you can go, anchor your boat out and basically have the beach to yourself as far as the eye can see, It's a great spot to do that and one of the huge benefits of living in a place like Cape Coral. Now, because of not only the pros that we have to offer with our location, but all the other pros that we're gonna get into later, there's a ton of people flocking to the area. The city's absolutely booming. And that brings us to our first con, which is all the construction and road work that we have going on here. So because of the high level of demand that there is to move to this city, there simply aren't enough existing homes to support that demand. So construction is increasing both in single family as well as multifamily. So you're gonna see a ton of single family homes under construction. Multifamily, there's 4 or 5 apartment complexes that are currently under construction right now that should be finishing up shortly, that will really help to absorb some of those new residents that are moving into the city. But because of some of the things that happened during the pandemic with labor shortages, with material shortages, construction is just taking a little bit longer right now, so you do have to be patient. Road maintenance is taking a little bit longer. We have a lot of road expansions to help deal with the increased number of cars on the road. You're particularly gonna see that in the north part of the Cape, so in the northwest, running up Burnt Store Road. A lot of that's been under construction for a while and will be for a while. In the end, it's gonna be extremely beneficial for the area, but it is something that you're gonna have to live with if you decide to move to Cape Coral. Now, in addition to road work as well as new home construction, we also have a lot of expanding utilities and amenities that are going on within the city. So particularly in the North Cape, where a lot of the homes are on well and septic systems currently, the city is expanding our public water and sewer system to that area. So that is gonna add some additional congestion to the area right now. When it's all finished, it's gonna be a huge benefit to the city, to the landowners, and to the people that are moving up there. So you have to take the good with the bad. There's some benefits that go along with some of the drawbacks, so keep that in mind. Now, one of the big exciting infrastructure changes that we have coming up in 2022 is gonna be the expansion of the Cape Coral Yacht Club area. So this is down in the Southeast Cape. This is where the Boathouse Tiki Bar and Restaurant is located. And this is where the main public beach is located within Cape Coral. And this is a huge gathering spot for a lot of people within Cape Coral. And the city agreed to pay $60 million to upgrade the whole area. So the beach is getting redone, the boat ramps are getting redone, we're getting additional boat parking, upgrades to really the whole area in general. So the downside is the yacht club area, other than the Boathouse Restaurant, is gonna be shut down for a good bit of time. When it's all finished, it's gonna be a really, really nice facility that everyone's gonna enjoy. Now, I know there's a lot of people, including myself, who are gonna be a little disappointed that the yacht club is gonna be out of commission for the next year or two while all this construction is underway. But I think the big benefit here is when it's finished, it's gonna be an absolutely amazing facility. A lot of improvements, and since this is a big area where people in Cape Coral like to congregate, like to go and have fun, it's nice to see the city putting money back into the things that we as a community enjoy. And I think in the end, it's gonna be a big positive for the city. All right, so pro number 2 of living in Cape Coral is the small town feel. A lot of people are surprised to learn how big Cape Coral actually is. We're the 5th largest city in the state by area, and we're the 8th largest city when it comes to population, at least as of 2021. So we're a pretty big city, but when you live here, it really does feel like living in a small town. So Cape Coral itself is really a giant residential subdivision. I mean, this whole city is really dedicated to catering to the people who live here and giving them the best day-to-day quality of life that they can have. So most of the city is going to be housing, and then all of the things that people use in their day-to-day lives. So whether that's grocery stores, restaurants, gyms, healthcare facilities, schools, the things that you use every single day, Cape Coral has tons of that. So what we don't have that a big city would are gonna be things like high-rise buildings that are mostly office spaces, tons of car dealerships all over the place, the traffic and congestion that goes into that, tons of stoplights. So a lot of things like that we just don't have here in the city. The city really does feel like a small town, kind of no matter where you're at. So what you're gonna find in Cape Coral is that a lot of the commercial things are consolidated into certain areas. So Cape Coral Parkway that runs east to west in the south part of the Cape is gonna have a number of restaurants and shops on it. That's also where downtown Cape Coral is located. Along the east side, Del Prado that runs north to south probably has the most shopping of anything. There's not a whole lot of homes on Del Prado, it's mostly shopping. And then Pine Island Road that runs east to west across the Cape and really separates most of the North Cape from the South Cape. Again, you're gonna have a lot of shopping along there, not as many houses. And then just below that, Veterans Parkway, which also runs east to west. Those are really the 4 main roads that are gonna have a lot of your commercial things on it. The rest of the city really is just housing and parks and schools and things that make it a really nice place to live without having to feel like you're living in this big city. I would describe Cape Coral as a great city to live in for people who really don't want to live in a city. Now, I will say that that small town feel is gonna have some drawbacks depending on who you are and what you like to do, and that brings us to con number 2, which is specialty shopping. So as I mentioned, a lot of the shopping that we have here in Cape Coral is really dedicated to the stuff that you're using every single day. So we have tons of great restaurants, we have plenty of grocery stores, a lot of smaller boutique shops, but within a pretty short drive, we have the Edison Mall over in Fort Myers, which depending on where you live in Cape Coral, may be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes away, not a bad drive at all. A little bit farther south, you have the Miramar outlets, you have the Sanibel outlets, you have the Coconut Point Mall in Bonita Springs, which is an amazing mall to go to. So you do have a ton of options around here in a short drive. I would say anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes is gonna get you everything that you could possibly want in terms of shopping, but it may not necessarily be right in your backyard here in Cape Coral. Again, the benefit of that is not everyone from all over is coming to Cape Coral to do their shopping. People who live in Cape Coral do most of their shopping here every single day, and then once a month or something like that, if you need something more specialty, you're probably either gonna order it on Amazon or you can head over to Fort Myers to Bonita Springs and you can get everything that you need there. All right, next on our list for pro number 3 is affordability. So when we're talking about affordability, it's very relative, but what we're talking about is bang for your buck. What can you get for your money? What are you gonna pay for a house here compared to what are you gonna pay for that same house with the same amenities and the same general type of location somewhere else? And one of the things that Cape Coral really has going for it is the sheer supply of particularly waterfront property. So since we have over 400 miles of navigable waterways that run throughout the city, which is more than any other place on earth, we have so much waterfront property to choose from that it tends to keep the cost down because there's a huge supply of it. Now, if you're looking at some of the real premium lots that are right on the outside of the city that have a 3 to 5 minute boat ride from your home out to the Gulf, those are still gonna come at a premium, but there's a lot of options depending on what your budget is and what kind of lifestyle it is that you're looking for. And if you're looking to get particularly on a waterfront home where you have, say, a 2,000 square foot home on a 1/4 acre lot with a pool with a boat lift right in the backyard, what you're gonna pay for that in Cape Coral is gonna be substantially less than what you're gonna find that same type of property for in some of the other cities in the area, say Naples, say Tampa. So it's going to end up being a lot more affordable to obtain that same type of lifestyle here in Cape Coral, more so than it would in some of the other areas that just don't have as much of that. That's one of the big benefits that I think of living in Cape Coral. All right, so piggybacking on top of our affordability, we gotta talk about jobs. That brings us to con number 3, which is the types of jobs that are gonna be available here in Cape Coral. Now, there's a ton of jobs here in Cape Coral, but depending on what you do, if you're in a more specialized field or industry, you may not find the exact job that you do now here in Cape Coral, and you may find yourself commuting outside of the city into Fort Myers or maybe down into Bonita Springs to find the type of work that you currently do. That being said, we have a ton of jobs here in Cape Coral, but a lot of them are going to be related to construction and to the service industry. So if you're in the construction field, be that residential, project management, commercial, there's a lot of that going on here and there will be for a long time. If you're looking at making a career shift, that's a great industry to focus on. If you're thinking about moving to Cape Coral, we have a ton of service related jobs. So food and beverage, lawn care, lawn maintenance, pool maintenance, property management. Those types of things are in high demand here and there's as many opportunities as you could want to have. But if you're in manufacturing or some type of more industrial type role that we don't have here in Cape Coral, again, you may find yourself doing, a 15, 30 minute commute outside the city in order to find that job. That being said, there's a ton of job opportunities down here in Florida in general. And I've met so many people who have stories about why they moved to Florida and moved to Cape Coral. And they were leaving states that over the last 2 years have had a lot of restrictions and they were having a hard time really even maintaining employment because their employer may have been shut down, or maybe they were a small business owner who kept getting shut down, couldn't stay open, couldn't make payroll, and finally just closed the doors, moved down to Florida and restarted their businesses here. You're gonna find a ton of those stories. So there's a lot of job opportunities down here, but again, depending on what you do, you may find yourself commuting outside the city to find that. You're also gonna find that a number of people in Cape Coral are in that retired category, so maybe they're only spending half the year down here from say November through April. They're not gonna be working anyway. I've also found there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the area who are looking to start new businesses. Either they had a business somewhere else or they're doing a career change and they wanna start a new business from the ground up. Cape Coral is a very business-friendly place to do that. There's a lot of people here who are great, talented workers that you can hire. And if you're someone that is interested in starting a business, Cape Coral can be a great place to do that. So overall, we have a great job market and economy down here in Cape Coral in the Fort Myers metro area. So if you are looking to move down here and you can't find an opening in Cape Coral for the exact type of position you currently have, keep your options open. You may need to look at a slightly different role or just be open to a short commute outside of Cape Coral in order to find that job. And I think you'll be happy that you did. All right, let's jump back into the pros with number 4, which is restaurants and dining. So the restaurants and dining opportunities that you have here in Cape Coral are really phenomenal. I've been so impressed with all the restaurants that I've eaten at down here. Just such a variety of types of foods, locations. We have a ton of waterfront dining opportunities. So if you like going out to dinner and having a great view of the water and a marina while you do it, we have some phenomenal options. Some of my favorites are gonna be the Boathouse, Pinchers, Rum Runners, Fathoms, so great opportunities. A lot of those restaurants also give you the opportunity to boat to them. So they'll have boat parking right out front. So instead of taking the car, if you want to throw everybody in the boat, or if you're heading back from a day out on the water and you want to stop in, grab a cocktail, grab a bite to eat, you have a lot of opportunities to do that. Most of the dining that you're going to find here in Cape Coral is going to be a little bit more casual. We don't have a lot of dress up, fancier restaurants. And if you are looking for those for a special occasion, we have plenty close by. Downtown Fort Myers has some amazing restaurants as well, and they're adding new ones all the time. So you have a lot of options both here in the Cape Coral and surrounding areas. But as far as dining options in Cape Coral, it's really hard to beat. Amazing happy hours. Almost every restaurant here seems to do something for happy hour. And some of them tend to run happy hour, it seems like from the time they open to the time they close, so pretty much all day. So you just have really great options if you are kind of into that food scene, you want to try new stuff all the time, you're not going to run out of options here in Cape Coral. All right, now as I talk about how great a lot of our restaurants are, I do have to get to con number 4, which is the lack of craft beer options at a lot of the restaurants down here. And it was surprising to me when I first moved here, because where I had come from and lived in the past, a lot of the restaurants would carry several of the local breweries' beers that were being made locally that you'd have on tap. And down here, it seems like that whole craft beer movement really hasn't quite caught up yet. And although we do have several breweries right here in Cape Coral, you don't find all the restaurants carrying those. One of the big beers that you are gonna find at most restaurants down here is called High Five. It's made by Fort Myers Brewing Company. It's an IPA, it's a really good beer, and you're gonna find that in most places you go. But you're not gonna find a huge selection of a lot of the other local beers that are being made here at all the restaurants. It seems like this area is a little bit more focused on like specialty cocktails. So if you like cocktails, tropical drinks, things like that, you are gonna have a lot more of those. And if you want those craft beer options, we have plenty of places locally that you can go that really specialize in that. There's a good one called Keg and Cow that has a phenomenal beer selection, and there's several others as well. But if you go to just a random restaurant, you may not be able to find that big selection of craft brews that you may be used to, depending on where you come from. So if you're a craft beer connoisseur and you're moving to Cape Coral, don't be discouraged. My recommendation is just go straight to the source. So go sit down at the tap room at Big Storm Brewing, go to Scotty's Beer Works, head across to Fort Myers to Millennial Brewing, to Fort Myers Brewing Company. You've got tons of options. Just don't necessarily expect all those options to be served at all the local restaurants, but we've got a lot of great options for you if that's your thing. All right, let's jump back into our pros with pro number 5, and this one is huge, and this brings so many people down to the area, and it is our water access. So Cape Coral is affectionately known as the waterfront wonderland. Again, we have over 400 miles of navigable waterways that just run through our city, but we're surrounded by water. So Cape Coral is a peninsula. We have water on 3 sides and 400 miles of water that runs through the city. So there's water everywhere. So all the things that you can do on the water, from boating to kayaking, paddleboarding, fishing, tubing, you name it, you have all those opportunities down here. So if you're already a boater or you're thinking about getting into boating, you have so many options down here in Cape Coral on how you can get out on the water. And you really have 5 main options that you're looking at on how to get out on the water here in Cape Coral. Number 1 is with a waterfront home, where you have a boat lift right in your backyard. So a lot of the houses that you'll see that are on the canals, you have your house, You have your pool maybe with a pool cage, a little strip of backyard, and you've got a boat lift right in the back of the house. So you can walk out the back door, put the boat in the water, and just go. Now, depending on where you're located within the city, your commute times through the canals can vary pretty wildly. You may have as little as a 3 to 5 minute boat ride if you're on one of the prime lots kind of along the perimeter of the city. And you may have as much as an hour to an hour and a half if you're more centrally located within the city and have a lot more canals that you have to go to. So all the saltwater canals in the city have a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's basically a no wake zone, which is to avoid having people's property and boats and all of that stuff get messed up. So it makes sense, but it can add a good bit of time to your day depending on where you live. So another great option to get out on the water in Cape Coral if you don't have a waterfront home, or if you want to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of where you put your boat in so that you can have a shorter ride out to the water and spend more time at your destination, is to simply trailer your boat. So we have 6 boat launches throughout the city, 5 saltwater, 1 freshwater, and they're conveniently located all across the city. So depending on what destination you're going to, you can choose where you want to put that boat in and get there even faster. The big benefit with trailering your boat as opposed to having it on a lift behind your house is the flexibility that comes with choosing where you're going to put that boat in. And you can choose where you're going to put it in based on the destination that you're going to. There's so many places that you can take your boat to around here. But if you can put in at a certain boat ramp, you may be able to shave 20 or 30 minutes off of a trip versus putting in somewhere else. So it gives you some flexibility. It also allows you to put your boat in and not spend as much time navigating through the canals. Most of these boat ramps are on the perimeter of the city. So if you do have to go through canals, it's typically a pretty short ride. So you can get out, start having fun right away, and it's a great option. If you prefer not to have to deal with putting the boat on a trailer every single time and you want to just show up and have the boat ready for you to go, you can also put your boat at a marina. So you can pay for storage. You can either have a slip where the boat stays in the water all the time. You can do high and dry storage where they take your boat, basically put it on a big rack, take a giant forklift and call them before you want to come. They're going to take the boat off the rack, place it in the water, have it ready to go. Most of these places are going to pull the boat out of the water for you, give it a quick clean, maybe flush your engine. And a lot of that is just going to depend on where you're taking it and what kind of services you're looking for. So that can be a great option if you want to have the convenience of having a boat ready to go for you, but you don't necessarily want to have a house right on the water. That's a great option. So a great option that's available to you down here as well, if you don't want to purchase a boat, but you do want to get into boating, is joining a boat club. And the way most of these work is you pay a one-time initiation or entrance fee, and then you pay a monthly fee after that, as well as whatever fuel that you use while you're actually out boating. The benefit of this is that you can oftentimes get access to multiple types of boats, so center consoles to ski boats to pontoon boats. You have all those available to you at that one price that you're paying. So if you want to do some different things where maybe you're taking the kids out on the pontoon boat or a group of people to go have, a glass of wine and watch the sunset, you have that option. And then if you want to head out and do some fishing in a center console, you can do that as well. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. So if you do want to get into boating, but you're not ready to quite purchase a boat yet, boat clubs are a great option to look into. So one of the other options that you have if you do want to go boating just from time to time, you don't want to join a boat club, you don't want to buy a boat, is just to do a rental. We have a lot of places down here that do rent boats, both pontoon boats, center console, so a lot of different kind of boats that you may want to rent. The price is going to be a little bit higher. You can expect to pay anywhere from $400 to $500 to $600 per day. So the cost is a little bit higher, but if you're only looking to go out infrequently, could be a good option for you, particularly if you're coming down to visit Cape Coral. Maybe you're going to spend a week on vacation before you decide to take the plunge and move down here. Go ahead and rent a boat, go out with a captain, have them show you around how to work the boat. You can explore, and you'll probably end up falling in love with the lifestyle and want to move down here. But again, rentals are a great option for somebody who wants to go out boating maybe a couple times a year. It's something to look into. So outside of boating, there's so many other activities that you can do on the water down here that just open up so many doors for you when you move down here and want to enjoy that South Florida lifestyle, whether it's jet skiing or kayaking or paddle boarding, kite surfing, windsurfing, snorkeling, swimming, just going to the beach and relaxing. There's so many things to do, and that's why we're called the Waterfront Wonderland. We're loaded with opportunities. So I think one of the biggest pros about Cape Coral is our water access and all the things that we have around here to do. If you come down here and get bored, you're just not trying hard enough. There's so many activities to do for all ages. My youngest kids are 2 years old. They love going to the beach and playing around in the Gulf. One of the big benefits of being on the Gulf side is that we do have that calm water, so you're not dealing with a lot of the currents and the waves that you might be dealing with on the East Coast. So it's just a really great area to enjoy the outdoors, to get out, to relax, and live that waterfront lifestyle. All right, so now that we've talked about just how great all the water access around here is, we do have to jump on one con related to that. That brings us to con number 5, which is beaches in Cape Coral. We actually only have one beach in Cape Coral, and that's at the Yacht Club Community Park, which again is down in the southeast corner. Now this is the area that we were talking about, which is gonna have a big $60 million project starting beginning in April of 2022. So that beach is gonna be closed for the next year to 2 years while that project's underway. So at that point in time, we won't have any beaches in Cape Coral until that project's finished. Now, with that being said, when that beach is restored, it's gonna be, I think, a lot more amazing than it is now. If you're a big beach goer, don't fret, because we do have a ton of options within about a 30 to 45 minute drive of Cape Coral if you're looking for some really great beaches. So as you head south from Cape Coral, we have Fort Myers Beach, you have Lover's Key, you have Sanibel Island, Captiva, North Captiva, Cayo Costa. So there's a ton of beaches around here that you have access to within a pretty short trip, but we just don't have those beaches right here in Cape Coral. Instead, like I said, we have a lot of boating and more waterfront activities. We just don't have the actual white sand beaches like you're gonna find about a half hour away. All right, so just because we have all these great beaches that you can drive to within a short distance doesn't necessarily mean that there's not one additional con we have to talk about, and that's bridges and tolls. So you're gonna find that most of the ways you're gonna get into Cape Coral, unless you're coming straight down from Punta Gorda into the north part of Cape Coral, you're gonna be coming over from Fort Myers. You're gonna go across one of two bridges, either the Cape Coral Bridge or the Midpoint Bridge. And both of those bridges do have tolls on them. It's a one-way toll that you pay to come into Cape Coral. You don't pay the toll to leave Cape Coral, but you do pay coming in. Those tolls right now are $2 every trip. And if you don't have a transponder, so something like a Sun Pass or a Leeway Pass, you're gonna be paying a $3 administrative fee every single time as well. That's something that they just started after the end of October here. So if you are gonna move down, I highly recommend, as soon as you get down here, go ahead and get a Leeway Pass, get a Sun Pass, get some kind of transponder that has a prepaid account, so when you come through those tolls, you're not paying that administrative fee. So the other bridge that you are gonna have to pay a toll on is getting onto Sanibel Island when you leave Fort Myers. There's a $6 toll on that bridge, so when you leave Fort Myers and head on to Sanibel, you got a $6 toll, and there is the same $3 administrative fee if you don't have one of the transponders. So moral of the story here, when you move down, go ahead and pick up a transponder right away. You're still gonna be paying that $2 or that $6, but there are some discount programs that you can get where if you prepay, you can get a discounted rate. So that's something that if you maybe are working in Fort Myers and you're going across that bridge every single day, I would highly recommend taking a look at some of the discount programs to see which one may be right for you, and it may save you some money in the long run. All right, so jumping back into our pros, we've got pro number 6, which is gonna be the parks in Cape Coral. One of the things that I was so pleased about when we moved down here was to see the quantity and quality of public parks that are available to you as a resident here. It's absolutely amazing. We have 39 different public parks throughout the city, and the amenities range from fishing piers to kayak launches to playgrounds to fitness centers, walking trails, observation towers, dog parks, a BMX bike park, football fields, baseball fields, soccer fields, golf courses. We have several waterfront parks which also offer pavilions, grills, fishing opportunities, tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts. So you name it, there's a park in Cape Coral that probably has what it is you're looking for. And there's probably one within just a few miles of where you live. We have several throughout the city that I like to go to. For waterfront parks, JC Park is an amazing area to go. There's parking right along the water with grills and picnic tables at all these different stations. Several playgrounds, walking trails. On the other side, you have Syriana Vista, which has a kayak launch, plenty of fishing, great place to see manatees, little butterfly gardens. So there's so many different things that you can do within these parks. One of the really fun areas to enjoy in the summertime is Sunsplash Water Park, which is open summer going into the fall. And that's a full water park where you can take the kids, keep them cool, have them burn off some energy. They serve some adult beverages there, so it's a great place to go and relax in the summertime. So if you enjoy being outdoors and staying busy, the parks that we have here in Cape Coral will keep you busy for a long, long time. There's so much to enjoy. There's really something for everybody. And again, one of the big pros of living here in Cape Coral. All right, so as we start to wrap up our list here, we're gonna jump into our last con number 7, which is lack of large lots in Cape Coral. So the way the city was laid out originally back in the 1960s was really with the intention to have smaller retirement-sized homes. So the lots were divided into 40-foot wide by 125-foot deep parcels. And now what you're gonna find is most of the homes that are being built on what's called a double lot, which is 80-foot wide, 125-foot deep, and that comes out to about 10,000 square feet, which is roughly a quarter acre. You are gonna hear about some larger lots. You'll hear triple lots. You'll hear that term being used. And what that is 3 of those 40-foot lots. So you have a 120-foot wide by 125-foot deep lot. And those are really the 2 standard size lots that you see throughout Cape Coral. So if you're coming from an area where you're used to having a larger lot, say an acre, 5 acres, something like that, you're not gonna really find that down here in Cape Coral. What you will find more of, if you want to still have some space around you and kind of some elbow room and space between you and the neighbors, particularly in the North Cape right now, Northwest Cape, Northeast Cape, you're going to find that it's just less built out so far. So you may only have a quarter acre, but there may be 5 vacant lots to either side of you and several across from you. So you still have some space between you and the neighbors, but bear in mind the city is growing fast. Those lots will likely be built on. It's hard to tell when that's gonna happen, so if you do buy one of those home sites where you don't have anyone around you now, just bear in mind, eventually those homes are coming. So if you're looking for a really large plot of land where you can have your house and several outbuildings and big fields and things like that, you're really not gonna find that here in Cape Coral. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to maintain, and has so many amenities around it, Cape Coral can be a great place. Just bear in mind, you're not gonna find those super large lots that you may have where you come from now. All right, we're finally at our last pro number 7, and this is a huge one. And again, one of the big reasons that me and my family chose to call Cape Coral home, and that is the people. Just the overall attitude and demeanor of the people that live down here is really unlike any place I've lived. It's probably one of the most welcoming, friendly, honest areas that I've had the opportunity to live in. As we all know, you can find mean and rude people no matter where you go in this world, but on the whole, and overwhelmingly so, the people that I have met in Cape Coral, who either are seasonal residents here, are visiting here, or full-time residents down here, are some of the best people that I've met. Just very friendly, very welcoming, and just very honest people. And you see that in daily interactions that you have around here all the time. So whether it's just walking down the street in your own neighborhood and having people come up to you and introduce themselves so that you know who they are. If you and your kids are out playing in the front yard, neighbors will come out, want to meet the kids and say hi. Whether you're just going out to eat and someone holds the door for you when you go in, going to the beach and people want to help you put up your tent. There's so many stories that I have having lived down here of people who've just gone out of their way to be friendly and helpful. It's kind of overwhelming. I think one of the biggest ones, my family was at the beach. I've got 3 little ones, and we have a little cart that we put all of our beach stuff on to take it from the car out to the beach. And we had gotten out there and my wife realized that her purse, which is in one of the bags that was on this cart, was no longer there. So her cell phone, wallet, everything is in this bag. So I've got the 3 kids, we're sitting at the beach waiting for her to kind of go back and see if she can retrace her steps and find it. And sure enough, a few minutes later, a gentleman comes up to me and asked if I would come with him for a second. He had something that he wanted to show me. So he walks me back a little ways back up the beach, and there's the purse laying on the ground. And he had seen that there were 2 tire tracks on either side of where this purse was, so he thought it may have fallen off of a cart. So he literally followed the tire tracks all the way from where the purse had fallen off, all the way to the tent that I had set up with all of our stuff in it, and wanted to return that to us. So that's one of many, many stories and instances that have happened down here, people just going out of their way to be honest and friendly and welcoming. It's a very patriotic area. You're gonna see American flags flying all over the place. And again, just very hardworking, honest people that make it a really friendly place to live. So that's the last pro that we've got, and I think that's a huge one. I hope this list has been helpful so that you can learn more about what it's like to actually live down here in Cape Coral. If you've got any questions, leave me a comment down below. I'm happy to help out. Hey, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below so that you stay up to date on all the new videos that are being released. Hit the like button to make it easier for other people just like yourselves to find these videos. Thanks as always for tuning in. Be well, and I'll see you on the next one.